Okay, the second part of this question, it says explain in terms of equilibrium why the cell potential increases. Okay, this is a tricky little question, more in terms of what you need to write to get the marks for this one, because you can explain it all around the houses and actually not hit the marking points for this one. So let's just digest and understand exactly what's going on before we try and put something in writing. So what's happening? We're adding water to the copper half cell. That must mean the copper ions, their concentration will be reducing because you're diluting it down. By adding water in, you're diluting the copper 2 half cell, so the concentration of this is falling. So what's going to happen, remember this exists in a state of equilibrium. If you reduce the concentration of the copper ions, the equilibrium is going to want to replenish it. It's going to want to minimize the effect of the change that you are making on it. So by diluting this down, the equilibrium will have to shift to the left-hand side to try and replenish the copper ions that have been removed by the introduction of the water by diluting it down. So in the process then, the equilibrium shifting to the left, that means there are going to be more electrons released by the copper metal. So there's going to be more electrons then in the system. More electrons is going to result in a bigger negative charge, which is going to bring the electropotential closer to zero. It's going to make the electropotential more negative or less positive, depending on how you want to view it. Try and avoid saying greater or smaller. Focus in terms of positivity. So you can say that this number is going to become less positive or more negative. All right, and it's asked you to explain then why the cell potential increases. The cell potential, remember, is the difference between the two electropotentials. So if this value is becoming less positive, it means the difference between the electropotential here and the 0.8 in the silver half cell is getting bigger. And that's where your 3 marks come from. So let's summarise that down. So first of all, you can say the concentration of the copper 2 is decreased by the addition of the water. So the copper 2 concentration is decreased, okay, which means the equilibrium will shift left because it wants to try and put copper ions back into the system. That means that more electrons will be released. I keep breaking my pencil. More electrons will be released by the copper. Making the electrode potential, done it again, making the electrode potential more negative or less positive, depending on how you want to interpret it. What does this mean as a result then? Why is the cell potential increasing? Therefore, the difference between the two electropotentials gets bigger or increases. So that's where your 3 marks would come from this. So it's quite an in-depth explanation to get the marks, and you can be easily deceived into thinking you could get a mark for saying the concentration is decreased, the second mark for saying the equilibrium shifts, and the third mark for saying that the electropotential becomes more negative. Because that, in essence, is explaining what's going on. But they want you to go a step further and make sure you're referring to the fact that the cell potential is the difference between the two values.